positions. So Sarah is not with us anymore because of time commitments. So we thank her for all of her efforts and for her time. And she refreshed on Brant. So on, we look forward to working with you. He's going to be remote. And we'll go to public comment.
Take up roll call.
Thank you.
Pat.
You.
Sit here, and then we'll see Dennis.
Sean.
Here.
John. Turk.
Here.
Ed.
Here.
Greg.
Here.
Pat.
Here.
Chris. And Carla. Thank you. Gotta keep you guys close.
Yeah, give us on to it.
Like you. Into public comment. Do you have any public comment online? Recording in progress. Jack. She said no. Okay. On public comment. Okay. And go to liaison reports. Liaison.
Well, at a meeting of the sustainability subgroup. So, from my point of view, it was not a very good meeting. It was confusing. What was confusing. I don't know whether the actually is confused or whether they just it was five capture systems. Full geothermal, hybrid geothermal, 50% geothermal, new one, air source heat pumps, and then conventional chiller. So those are the options, and then the distribution. I think ventilation, beams, and the conventional system that we're all used to, perimeter. Problem they had, not to take things in, is they seem to combine systems as one supply system, an energy capture system was only compatible with distribution systems. It's not true. You can any distribution is compatible with any supply system. So those things should really be kept in separately. You should choose and the other, not mix them all together, choose this one. It was confusing as far as I was concerned. I think we need clarity from them. I don't know whether other people have the same impression.
We just say that now that we're hearing that, this is something to focus with them on. We will focus on with them, especially what you just said. And the next meeting, it's a very complicated set of circumstances. The next meeting will be more clear. I feel like there was a lot of headway made, like we heard a lot, but to any excuse at all, we should make it clear better. That's all.
Would you like to set up?
You can, well, you'll have to so now you can be better. Now you can be even better. We will do better.
Yeah, it's just it was confusing to me, and I looked. I'm at the stage of MEP for dummies, and that's what I want.
You're an engineer.
But no,
I wonder if Greg had any,
Greg, yes.
who was also there, has a thought about it.
Did you have
No, I'm not gonna, not like that he was right or wrong, but do you also have any tips?
I was in the same MEP for Dummies class as John, so I was a little less confused, but I do think that What I think they're trying to accomplish is just to give a wide range of options by which we can either choose by advantage from and or entertain. I think some of the challenge with the options that were offered is that you don't know enough about other aspects of it. For instance, full geothermal would be great, but can we fit it? So there's a question that can't be answered right now about that in terms of implementation.
I think they were talking, correct my memory if I'm wrong, I didn't write it down. They were talking about 70 boreholes, 800 feet deep each. That's 56,000 feet. That's 11 miles of boring under our site. That's from here to Boston. Is that realms of fantasy, or is it, or I'm missing something?
Very normal. Go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah, I was just going to say, John, that's correct, and I also would like to respond to feedback. I think that's very useful feedback. I think you're what I see where you're talking about, that there was a confusion, and actually, I think one of the things we learned in this process is we were trying to evaluate both plant options and room distribution options. One of the things we learned with working and talking with a cost estimator is that at this level of detail, without an actual layout and plan and a more detailed design, there's really no cost difference that they can discern between a chilled beam and a displacement ventilation system. So I think that we can actually simplify and just say, look, we can't really evaluate the room distribution options at this time. The important thing is for us to get some direction on the plant system. We can just focus on that question, and that'll make the whole discussion much simpler, I think. So we'll be bringing.
Jenny, we had a meeting with the geothermal consultant slash contractor. Maybe
Yes.
that'll be able to tell them about as we try to find out.
I'm sorry, what?
Can you tell them about that meeting?
Yeah. So we met with Bright Core. They are a geothermal, they're both a contractor and a consultant. It was very informative, kind of preliminary meeting where we talked about, kind of our questions about how they would approach implementation on the site, and they had a couple different options and ideas, but some of this is contingent on a lot of everything is a lot of different things. One approach might work if we have a construction manager doing an early package and doing boreholes underneath the building footprint. That would be a good strategy. That would probably work better if we have a construction manager, so that they can coordinate and be responsible for, all of the coordination between the geothermal and the other trades. Another thing they talked about is that there's two types of well drilling. One they called like a air something, some kind of air drilling, and one was the conventional water drilling that generates a lot of mud from the wells that then has to be processed and cleaned, be discharged to stormwater. And the type of drilling will be determined when they do the test well. So I think what's great is that Bright Core is now engaged and is doing some work for us, and will really help us to understand better the viability and logistics of how we can do the geothermal and what is reasonable on the site.
So as a point of clarity, we see our goal as being not that you've instructed us only to do geothermal wells, but to know what we can do full geothermal system. How can we make it work? Or, what are the pros and cons of it? Half a geothermal system, which would be a hybrid, right? And how would we make that work and how logistically could that happen? Coming in early, doing that kind of thing. Or I am completely open to no geothermal wells, if that's what you decide. That's okay too, and that would be probably an air source heat pump system or something like that. I think that that is what we're hearing for the most part. But we do have time to clarify and get this, but it's very clear that our site and what it's able to accomplish in terms of space, in terms of cost, and in terms of logistical planning time is the real crux here. And we have to figure that out way before we can't choose a system until we know we can do it. So we kind of had to flip it and do it this way. These people are real smart. They do it all the time. That's who we need and we'll have you meet with them at some point.
And I'll add on to that too, that in some of what enters into some of the calculus relative to the geothermal is there's a tremendous amount of reimbursement associated with a certain size well field. So if you can cover half of the capacity,
50% or
50% of the capacity of the building with geothermal, you get what's called a dual use credit from the IRA. And that not only is for the cost of drilling the wells themselves, but it's also all of the downstream connected mechanical equipment and infrastructure. So there's a huge reward for basically using 50% of the energy in the building being geothermal for conditioning. If you can't meet that threshold because of logistics, timing, whatever, then there might not be a rationale to do geothermal at all. So that's some of the calculus that's also being reviewed with the consultants.
The geothermal system provides exclusively rebates to be competitive, right? It's under IRA and inflation reduction.
From a financial perspective, yes.
Yes.
from a first cost financial
Yes.
perspective.
Now, we all must keep in mind that we don't know that those rebates are going to be there in 5 years. We don't know.
We're going to be there in 30 years.
Not necessarily.
Well, that's, there was language, right, Jenny, that it is there.
Yeah, they're in place until I believe 2032. It would require an act of Congress to reverse that.
That's what I'm worried about.
Right,
Yeah.
it's always possible, but it's harder to take, it's hard to get things, it's easy to get things passed and given to people, really hard to take them away. That's
Yeah.
my political note for the day.
Yeah.
Is that once you start to try to take something away that people have, they don't like it.
But as Mike keeps telling us.
Yeah.
You have to spend the money first before you get the rebate.
Right,
So you have to come up with the cash day one until the thing is built, and then you might get the rebate if it's still there. Mike keeps.
So- John, this is Mike Carroll here. I would say if we were going down that path and we were seeking the rebates, we would be in the program. And whether we get them or not just depends on our performance, not so much if the rebates are there, because we would know if the rebates are there before we move forward with it. We would get signed into the program.
Hope so.
so let me just wrap this up in a conceptual bow. We're learning what we need to learn for this specific project and site. We got started really early on it, and I'm glad we did because it's complicated. We're attacking it from the money side, finance, but also from the sustainable side and the energy side and the rebate side all at once. And it's kind of, it feels a little muddy right now, but I believe that I believe it'll settle and it'll become pretty clear if we keep doing the work and moving forward. I just wouldn't be concerned about things we don't know could happen. You know what I mean? It's easy to worry about everything, but let's just worry about the things we know about. And I will say that having done a few of these projects with the geothermal wells, yeah, that's a lot of geothermal wells. but no one will ever see them. And that's what the nature of that energy source is. It's how they work. And it's getting pretty normal now. Pat, using them on many projects.
We're definitely seeing them more and more. I feel like there was back in the 2005 to 2010, everything had like a couple of geothermal wells. A TPW we built in Weston, a school in Lexington, and then they kind of went away. And now they're coming back more in a full field, like the school that LDA is building in Swampscott has the equivalent well field that you described.
It's about, I think it's a 50-something% system in the end now because it's hybrid. So
Yeah, it's a bigger building and it's 4 holes from here to Boston. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and it fits on the site. It takes up, you wind up taking up every square inch of the site, with something. But you've got parking or, generally speaking, parking or ball fields over.
Were the neighbors close by on that side?
Very.
And they did not complain about the noise and vibration?
They were jaded by all the blasting we did. Start to say. But no, not at all. I wouldn't see that. I mean, and I would say that project is equivalent to Killam. I would say there's more neighbors though, because it abuts more people, like directly abuts.
it really did. The drill holes weren't the thing. The blasting was the thing.
Yeah.
Drill holes never created any real controversy in that town.
There'll be, but I don't see the drilling of the geothermal wells as being particularly invasive to the neighbors as compared to everything else that we'll be doing, erecting steel, concrete trucks, trucks backing up with the alarms on at 6
The
a.m.
biggest thing I learned on that, what is their name? What is their name, Jenny? Bright what? Brightcore?
Right, Cor.
I was listening to the phone call. That doesn't mean I understood it all. But biggest thing that I got from it was if we can get in and drill wells before we build the building, like that summer, say there's a summer for utility and prep and all that kind of stuff. If they can come in and drill a whole bunch of wells, like get 2 rigs in there or whatever it is, over a 3-month period, and drill them all, then it won't overlap with anything else. And so I'm not promising that. That seemed like the cleanest approach so that it didn't have to overlap with other systems and all of that. So they seemed like many subs that felt like they could do anything.
Right. Thank you, John. Anybody else have a liaison report?
If I could, Carla, a clarifying question on the wells. So you mentioned 2032. So are we getting potentially rebates up to 2032? And if they don't renew it or something, then we're not getting rebates beyond that? Because Killam's going to be built by then, right? So why is there a notion that what's happening after? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Well, you're not really asking me, Jenny.
Yeah,
What is the?
that's just when the program expires in the legislation.
I think they just
So-
pay.
So I'm just saying that it's as we complete our project by 2032, which we will, then we would be able to get the funding. That's all.
We have to fund the entire project through the MSBA process. So we fund the entire project and then get into some kind of, on the list for rebates, right? So we wouldn't lose those rebates, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, and then once the project is complete and we have met to their satisfaction, put in the wells properly and all that stuff, then we would be eligible to get the rebates at that point.
yeah, but my question is, did they go in perpetuity and then we run the risk of losing them after 2032? Or is it a one-time thing and then we're done?
One time.
Oh, all right.
Yes, they expire 2032.
But it's a one-time, right?
All right.
Yeah, it's
Millions of-
Inflation Reduction Act has a sunset. Oh, it's gone. Goes out.
But But the rebate is not paid out like over 10 or 20 years. It's if you build a heat pump system with geothermal, once it's in operation, if you meet the criteria and you apply, you get the full Monty of that value that you've qualified for. And then that's it.
Okay.
It's not as if you're waiting 10, 15
Yeah,
years.
I thought maybe it was residual year over year.
No.
Alright.
I heard a politician the other day say, drill, baby, drill. I'm sure he was talking about you, so.
Anyone else?
If we're drilling for hot water, it'd be amazing.
Okay. We had Killam student introductions on our agenda. We were not going to have anything, but Tom.
Quick update. Thank you to Lindsay, Principal Fulton, who's on the call, is going to start to coordinate students to come to some of our KSBC meetings in the beginning, just to talk about what their hopes are for the project, what they want to see in the new school, things that make their school special, just to make sure that our focus stays on students. And I know Lindsay put it out there to the Killam's community. There's already some students who are interested. So we expected to have a few tonight. They couldn't make it due to some other things, but just so you have the trickle of students over the next few meetings, wanted you to know why and what we were trying to do too. So thank you, Lindsay, for coordinating. I'm sure everyone here will be happy to see some students.
Oh, yeah.
They just need to make it a priority. Like, I don't know what else. This is.
Baseball playoff games.
Baseball, I
Tell 'em.
figured as much.
Tell them. Tell them.
That's gonna be awesome. I'm
For their,
looking forward to
back
that.
to their public speaking skills.
And then moving on to designer updates. Take it away, Jenny.
So our have a presentation for tonight. We have three items. So one is we had shared the draft comments to MSBA's review comments. And yeah, we just ask if you had any feedback on those, any questions or comments.
I didn't have any, Jenny. Some of them, full disclosure, what I read through, I didn't see the comment. My got truncated, so I didn't see all the comments that were on the side. Is there a deadline or a time that you need to have any kind of responses or any kind of clarifying stuff from us?
Yes, we need to submit it back to the MSBA on Thursday.
Okay.
So
And
like
we
tomorrow.
have any specific questions, we'll ask, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can go through kind of there were a few kind of points and kind of review the things that the MSBA asked about. So, a big focus of this is kind of teasing out what is the MSBA going to fund and what cases are they going to say are ineligible. So they did provide some clarity that all of the RISE pre-K spaces, except for the classrooms, every other RISE space is ineligible for MSBA funding. We thought was the case, but we were a little unclear about the special ed spaces dedicated to RISE, and they confirmed that those are ineligible for funding. We knew that the extra 1,000 feet in the gym would be ineligible for funding, so they confirmed that. There's two spaces that are a little unclear. They asked for clarification and asked a lot of questions about them, but didn't say explicitly that it was ineligible. So that's the STEM classroom and the adaptive PE. So I think those are open to interpretation or further discussion with the MSBA. There were several kind of small storage rooms that they said not exactly ineligible, but they asked them in the gross of the building, which is kind of a sneaky way for them to actually pay for them. So that's good. And then it's kind of a small amount of space, but in the cafeteria, in 87 square feet of cafeteria space that is a result of we made the staff lunchroom larger than the MSBA guidelines. and we did not reduce students' cafeteria by the same amount. So we could reduce the students' cafeteria, but then the cafeteria would be smaller than the cafeteria you currently have. And we think the staff need a big enough lunchroom that's the same size that they currently have. So they may pay for that as well. So that's kind of the summary, 5 points from my perspective.
And Jenny, you've gotten all the answers that you need from us, the town?
Yes, we have. Yep. I worked with Tom and Olivia, hello, and they looped in all of their staff as needed to give feedback on the ed program pieces. I don't know, Tom, if you have any other things you want to comment about the ed program.
No, I thought the feedback was pretty straightforward, honestly. And what we were surprised by was that a lot of the feedback was going into like content specific pieces, like do you have benchmark assessment systems for in content areas other than ELA or math? And we were kind of taken aback and surprised. Why was the MSBA wondering about our, assessment systems and other content areas? So we feel like we were able to give all that information, but we didn't necessarily see some of the connections between that and the building project. So we went through and we also had the support of Mike Parolo, the educational consultant who helped us work through it all too. So I think we feel like it was all pretty straightforward. So I don't think anything else to add.
So Jenny, just long and short, when you kind of went back and you just did some of that accounting, most of that, I'm inferring from what you were saying, there wasn't anything that was a big surprise. It was just, kind of a couple things here and there. And that's just based on the meeting the last couple of meetings where we talked about eligibility. There wasn't much change from what you've seen now.
Correct.
Perfect.
Everything is in line or better than.
And Ed, on that question too, Ed, we read the feedback at first and we're like, oh geez, there's a ton here. And then Jenny would actually share with us and Mike share with us that this is a lot less than maybe there is in a lot of neighboring communities right now too. So don't be overwhelmed or worried about the volume of feedback. That should be what we should expect.
Perfect. That's great. That's good. Thank you.
Because at first we had to take a step back.
Yep.
Okay, so the other items were the votes. So do you want to set those up, Carla, or do you want me to set them up? I think you have the language there.
I do. So these next two votes that we're doing, we're confirming the votes we took at the last meeting that were more guidance motions than actual votes because we didn't have it on the agenda. So we just wanted to kind of set in stone what the will is of the committee. So the first one is about pre-K, the full pre-K program being under one roof, or are we going to continue with multiple locations? So the will of the committee the last time with the informal vote was to have the full pre-K program as part of this process. So I'll read the motion and then we can have a discussion. And I'll need a second. Vote to approve the full pre-K program as the preferred schematic design option.
Second.
So I should have somebody make that motion. So
I'll make the motion.
thank you.
Yeah.
So Nancy is the so moved and
Yeah.
Ed is the second. Any discussion on that?
Still think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Confirmed. Yep.
Great. So seeing none, we'll go to the vote. John,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Carla, yes. Perfect. That one passes. And then the next one was to confirm the options, evaluated. And there seems like there's a discrepancy, which we'll get to later in the guidance motion that we made before, which may just be a typo. We'll get to that when we get to that later on in the agenda. So So the motion is vote to approve the following 4 design options to be evaluated by LBA moving forward. The code update option, A1, B1, and E2.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Anybody have a question, reminder?
Yeah, can we be
Please.
reminded?
Yeah, could you?
Okay, ready? The code option is just taking exactly what's there, bringing the whole thing up to code for forma. Nobody wants to do it, but we're doing it for the PCA. A1 is the scheme where we actually redid half the building, 1 story, and then still built a 2 or 3 stories building next to it. Took up too much of the site, but we're required to do a renovation addition scheme. So that's A1. So 2 of those are pro forma.
The required analysis by
Required.
the MSBA.
That's right. And we're doing it and you're voting to accept us to move forward with those. The other 2 were B1. And so B1 is the 3-story, very compact scheme, the donut scheme where all the classrooms were at the bottom there, wrapping around a central media center. And it was, as you can tell from this scheme right now, it has a revised site drop-off plan that we're working on so that, remember you were, it was the worst site plan any of us had ever seen or drawn.
Previous one was.
And now it's less.
Much better.
It's much better, but still, we will still work on it. But the idea is that, so that's A1 and it's 3 stories. And then E2 is.
B1, you mean, right? Like,
That was B1. I apologize. Thank you very much. And then
E2.
E2.
E2 is something like this, although we're working on it to get it to fit better on the site, doing, giving it some massage, so that it has the same basic site plan, but it has the gym part, but it has more of a little bit more of a wing and not the donut. So everybody faces out to, and actually think that was a good idea to look at, because as we develop it, give it a chance, I think it could be a really nice scheme. So we're looking at that as well. Those are the 2 that you're voting for, or you gave us the guidance to move forward on. Both 3 stories.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to the vote. John,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Carla, yes. Perfect. And that motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now, moving on to, on page 48 in the packet, there is a memo from me. This was a request at our last meeting by Nancy, Ed, and Pat on discussion of recent appointments to the committee, along with committee members in the formation, role of the chair and the role of the KSBC. So I have attached 4 documents to help inform this discussion, and I'm just going to go through them quickly. The first document was created by Tom Wise, who was the chair of the. So it starts on page 48. So the first document was created by Tom Wise, who was the chair of the school committee in June of 2022. And he has a pretty extensive document which he put together and formulated the Killam School Building Committee with a lot of different aspects to be kept in mind. So the first one was Mass General Law. So we are governed by Mass General Law. We are governed by the Massachusetts School Building Authority and their requirements. They actually make a lot of suggestions, and then they allow each district to kind of formulate and fit within their requirements into that process. Also, Tom had looked into this of having the Reading, the general bylaws incorporated, and also the committee creation, right, with the bylaws and with the home rule charter. So he has identified the role of the building committee. He's talked about the appointment committee, which is the appointment committee to the permanent building committee, which consists of 3 members. It consists of the town moderator, the chair of the select board, and the chair of the school committee. So those members can change any given year. So taking the roles that are outlined or requested of the MSBA, he kind of fit everything in there. This was run through legal. This was run through the school committee, and we had a discussion at one of our meetings as well. The school committee, as per the permanent building committee, you guys need a sponsoring agency. So the school committee is the sponsoring agency for this committee. And this committee falls under, or is an offshoot of the permanent building committee. So also listed in this letter is are the potential positions that were filled. And then to just add a little bit of an extra twist, we have voting members and non-voting members. So per our bylaws, the charter, the home rule charter, in order to be a voting member on a committee in town, you have to be a resident. So you have to live here. So this committee is built with 9 voting members who all live in town, and other members. There's a lot of staff members who are quote unquote consultants and part of our team, but they do not live in town. So it's kind of a unique dynamic. But the voting piece of it is us, the 9 members that vote and make decisions moving forward. So in a nutshell, that's that document.
So that document, by the way, is excellent. I mean, that answers a lot of the questions I think that came up in public comment. Specifically for me, it was really helpful to be able to kind of clarify and really kind of get down to how we form as a committee. And then, I think we all get on our side that the goal of the committee is the project and the building. But a lot of the questions I think we got in public comment, and a lot of that is, what our role was in that. And then I think, one of the other documents clearly defines that we as a committee don't have a role. It's we're a product of other boards and committees, from that perspective. So I thought everything that was in this packet, Carla, was exactly what I was looking for. Really kind of helped. I think it helped, it kind of informs and, kind of answers a lot of the questions again that kind of came from public comment and so forth. So, but this one was excellent. I don't like to give Tom Wise a lot of credit. I'm sure there was a lot of other people that did that. But yeah, it was really, that was really helpful.
Thanks, Ed. Tom, thank you too.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I can see him grimace.
The next document. No, go ahead.
Question for Pat. There's a difference between the setup of this committee and the senior center. Trying to think why they're so different.
So
Can you throw some light on that or not?
I bet Tom can.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest, you asked me the question, but the biggest difference is in our bylaw, the bylaw states that when a project is funded, we had 2 temporary members, but it also refers to if there are state requirements, it gives the ability for more temporary members, and the MSBA has a very prescriptive
Okay.
requirement for members.
So the difference is the state involvement with
Right.
this. Okay.
The bylaw recognizes there might be other entities that have rules, regulations, or requirements for membership of the building committee. So that's what the bylaw recognizes. In the case of MSBA, they have prescriptive membership requirements where the Center for Active Living doesn't. So that's why you see the difference.
We're basically following our town bylaws and home rule charter for the senior center.
Senior center.
Yeah. And so part of that is the 5 members of the permanent building committee plus the 2 temporary members that make up the senior center.
Yes.
But it's different with.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
The next document that is in there is the actual document from the MSBA that actually lists our committee, the specific members, the specific members and what their roles are, right? So, and this document has to be updated within 20 days if there is a change to that document. So,
So we're doing one now.
yeah, one was actually sent in, and if we have any changes tonight, we will revisit that.
Yeah, gotcha.
Things like Jane's title had to change and Matt's title had to change, and we have 2 new members, so those things changed. We're going to be reorging tonight, so that those will also be noted in here as well. The next document is a document from town council. This
Carla, just on that last one, just
Yeah.
so I can, and I don't know who knows the answer to this question, but
Yeah.
just kind of pose it out there. So this letter, is from the town manager to, so what confirmation comes back, like what comes back?
So the town manager sends this off.
Yeah,
And it goes to our representative at MSBA. They run it by their attorneys and
Okay.
they confirm with us that it's been accepted.
Gotcha.
So right now, it's with their attorneys and we just got an email back saying it's with the attorneys, we'll let you know.
perfect, okay.
So
Yeah, I
they
just-
have to actually confirm it. And so if there is like a major change, they want an explanation.
Gotcha,
Um,
gotcha. And so then then we just keep whatever their response is approved by MSC. We keep that on file.
Yes,
Perfect,
yeah.
okay. Yep.
And this actually is on our website.
Okay,
This
perfect. Yep.
updated. When we get the new official updated document, it goes on our website too.
And do we keep all copies on the website or just the most recent?
I don't know. We have one. I don't know. We can decide.
Yeah.
I
No, yeah,
would just change it out.
Yeah, no,
Maybe most recent.
I don't, it doesn't matter. I don't even know why I
Yeah.
asked. Yeah.
You can store it by date too. So you could 23, 24, 25. So people can just look back. and
See who-
There's no real downside.
Right. It's good to have an accounting of it. The next document is from town council. This was put together from town council and school committee council. And it takes us through the process that the select board went through. And it states that the process was done properly. There's a little, basically what happens is when we have a change, for example, recently, the permanent building committee, you guys have members up every year whose terms are up. This year it was Pat and Greg. So they were re-upped, so to speak. There was a change on the select board side, there was a change on the school committee side. So that gets put forth from the school committee to the appointment committee. And then the appointment committee votes on it. There's a little different caveat with this.
The select board hadn't made their selection yet. So there's a document that shows the select board's vote on it. And then there's another document that shows the agenda or the meeting minutes from the Permanent Building Committee Appointment Committee. And when the school committee put forth their new members, and you were one of those members as well, from FinCom, they were delineated that in addition to the person voted by the select board. So there's a little different kind of nuance with that piece of it. So that is that document. And then the final document was a very long 50-page document or so. It is from the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, MASC, and it is the role of the chair. Now, that is the role of a school committee chair, but that I use as my like guiding light for this committee, even though it's not fully applicable because this committee is so unique. But things that I just jotted down from that document. The chair presides over meetings, has attention to detail, leadership skills, interpersonal skills, communication skills, knowledge of the legal obligations of the board, that this is a public board. This board is very unique where we're bringing towns and school sides together. And the chair sets the tone for the meeting and has effective, hopefully, and efficient meetings. So I included that document just because that question was kind of asked as well.
Yeah, thanks for the clarity on that. When I read it, I'm like, this seems like it wasn't quite, but I'm glad that you kind of clarified, kind of the reasons for including it. I don't think there's a document out there for for a school building committee chair, but that's I think that's that was helpful.
So, and then I just wrote a short statement, just reiterating that this committee is unique. It has members on it from
Recording
three
in
major
progress.
boards in town, the school committee, the select board, and finance committee. The entire voting PBC members are on the committee, staff members from both the town and the school side, including the two highest ranking employees of the town, the town manager and the superintendent. It has consultants, facilities is involved, police is involved, fire is involved. So I think that this committee is unique and probably one of the most unique committees in town. So navigating it isn't always easy. We have the Killam School Building Committee as the main board. It's made up of voting members and non-voting members. We have an XLT, an executive leadership team, and 3 working groups, right? We did that because we, as a committee, could not meet twice a week. So we have those groups working and then reporting back to this group for votes. A lot of work happens outside of these meetings, and there are a lot of interactions outside of these meetings. I appreciate that this committee isn't always aware of every single thing that happens. I can tell you, for me personally, there are many weeks where I put in 20 to 25 plus hours on this project. I make up my time at night and on weekends to accomplish my professional job that I actually get paid for. I can tell you that I put in more hours worrying about and have had many sleepless nights concerned with how to proceed with many issues with this committee. I'm fortunate because I have a superintendent, a town manager, and a consultant whom I trust and respect to help me work through these issues. So that was kind of the end of my presentation.
I don't know if this is I just want to jump in on, because I speaking like this item quickly and also just hearing some of the public comments, I want to share a couple things just because I obviously get to work closely with the KSBC chair a little bit more closely behind the scenes. I just jotted down a couple thoughts that I want to share that on behalf of myself and the other leaders in our administrative team that are most heavily involved in the project, Joe Huggins, Lindsay Fulton, Derek Pinto. We all stand behind Carla and her leadership throughout this process, ensuring that we're on time and under budget in the process. We've all worked countless hours with Carla at all different phases of the project, including the OPM selection process, the architect selection process, the educational visioning process, our communication working group, our school visit processes, and our ongoing XLT meetings. So she's been at the core of all of these different processes, and honestly, her leadership's been integral in moving us forward, this project forward together. She's poured an incredible amount of time, as she just shared, into the project, and quite honestly, I'm sure we would not be in such a positive place without her leadership in this project. And I know that some of this work's visible to the community, but since I know much of it's not, I thought it was important for me just to share that perspective because I'm close with you behind the scenes of so much of this. And I know Joe, Lindsay, and Derek thought it was important to make it clear how much we all appreciated your leadership and the impact you're making on the project. And I'd just like to emphasize too, I think that all of Carla's decisions through her work and her role have centered around like what's best for the project and stayed laser focused on that. Has navigated really challenging, difficult situations and parts of the processes that have come up thoughtfully and collaboratively. And I and the group I just described fully, support Carla and have the utmost confidence that her leadership will bring us forward and the project forward to success. So I didn't know if that was the appropriate time, but given that was on the agenda, and also given that I had heard some of the comments before, I just thought it was important that the KSBC members heard a little bit about behind the scenes, what our perspective was, and the others that I represent on that comment.
Thank you, John. Any other discussion, questions?
I just want to add, I think Carla, you're doing a phenomenal job. I really do. I'm so appreciative of all the work that's been done here. I do want to just express some disappointment in having a group of people from the outside come in and really pull us to task on something that I know John didn't know anything about it, that a lot of us didn't know anything about. And it's the perception that is so critical here. And it's that perception of using, in my words, a very dysfunctional select board to do the bidding of something that they may want or whoever may want it, just wasn't appropriate to bring into this community. I think that this committee has to be above all of that noise out there. And we have to stay laser focused on what we're doing. So I appreciate what you're doing. I hope that when everybody else appreciates it as well and votes you to continue as chair, I have no doubt that I will. But I do want us to be very cognizant of what our look is out there. And, right now we have a very dysfunctional select board. There's just no way to say it. So I don't want that to come here. I really don't.
Yeah, I just want to sort of tack on to what Nancy said. I think, Carl, you've done a fantastic job. I can't say enough about the work you've done. I also can't say enough about the passion that Karen brought to the role. I think you've both done a fantastic job. I think Nancy summed it up best. We don't want to be part of the political drama that a dysfunctional select board has going on. If they want to rotate their representative through here, whoever it is, I'm just going to show up every day, do the best I can to work with whoever they put in that seat. And I think it's time to move on. It's time to. This has taken up more than enough of our time already, and I think we should move on.
Yep, I agree.
No, the only thing that I'd add to that is that, again, I agree exactly with what Pat and Nancy just said. And I think it's good for us to have this discussion in the context of now we have a better knowledge on our side if we get reached as, kind of in a public setting or in a private setting, where these decisions and processes take place, and again, what our roles and responsibilities are. I think, again, that some of that, the devil that's in the details there, I think is important for us to be able to have that discussion, to be able to understand. Again, it hasn't been an issue because we've been all laser focused on the project, and so and that's a kind of a good byproduct of how well kind of we've been working together on from that perspective. But things like this happen, and hopefully it's a one-time event. Whether it is or it isn't, well, at least I think we're better served coming out on the back end of it, and we should be better served in case there's kind of anything that kind of comes out from the public. But I think the perception piece of it is, to Nancy's point, is spot on. We're right at a point where we need to be putting our best foot forward. So and we have, again, great news. We're on time. We're on budget. We're making great progress. It's really an exciting time. So I'm hopeful that that's the message that gets out to everybody in the community.
Thank you. Chris?
Thanks, Carla. For me, I'm just here to listen, to learn, and put the best project forward for Killam. So the select board is the select board. I'm here. And that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna ask some questions, like, I assume all of you do, and just, you know, whatever was gonna be built before is the same thing that's gonna be built now. Doesn't matter that I'm here or somebody else.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else online? Okay, thank you, everybody. So this was, so Mike suggested this one, as we kind of do, even though it's not under our purview, to sometimes vote on things, it's a vote of acknowledgement of new appointees on the committee. So we have 2 new voting members. So the motion that I've written is vote to acknowledge Chris Haley in his position for the his position that is designated through the MSBA as the local chief executive officer designee, and Sean Brandt as a school committee member designee on the Killam School Building Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Nice.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. John,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Carla, yes, and the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, and now we will, we have a motion to approve the July 8th meeting minutes.
Just a point of clarification, we need a vice chair. Is that going to be Chris Haley?
That is, no, that is next.
Okay,
That, we're gonna do reorg next,
okay, great.
after we do,
Just want to make sure.
yeah, a couple of things. Do we have a vote to approve the July 8th, 2024 meeting minutes?
Did you say,
So we need a so moved.
so move first and then we're gonna, and then adjust, okay,
Yeah.
so moved.
Thank you. And a second? Thank you. And discussion. I do have
So,
an,
yeah,
yeah.
I didn't want to, yeah.
thank you. That's good, that's why I put you close. So when I was writing the motion for us for today, I looked back and realized it didn't seem quite right because we don't have a E3 option.
It should just be E2.
Okay, so is your thing you wrote for me still good?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lee wrote it as so if we could modify the meeting minutes to say there was, Nancy had made a guidance motion for the designer to further explore options B1 and E3, to which there's no E3. Both 3 stories with a new E2 site scheme and full pre-K, which was seconded by Ed. The motion should read, further explore new school options B1 and E2 with a full pre-K enrollment. Both will utilize the E2 site design.
Yep.
So it seems like it may have just been a typo.
Should we need to modify that motion to accept the meeting minutes with
As-
that as amended?
Yes, as amended.
So moved.
Perfect. Any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none, we'll take a vote. John,
Yes.
Kirk,
Can you check point of order?
Yes.
I don't think that is typed as what you actually meant to say. So I might want to just double check it.
Oh, I didn't see it, she was ready.
oh, I can give it, I can send it to you, Jackie. So I have further explore new school options, B1 and E2 with a full pre-K enrollment, period. Both will utilize the E2 site design.
She's amazing.
She's got it.
She's awesome.
I can't believe she does it.
No, I know.
She's
So good.
Yeah, she's
So
amazing, yeah.
Jackie, you're amazing.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that's not, that looks right.
Thanks,
What's the part of the middle?
Tom. Okay, so we're back to the vote. John,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Carla, yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So now future agenda items, and next meeting dates. The next meeting will be on, August 5th at 7 PM. We're gonna vote on our selected option, which will be exciting.
Big day.
Yep, big day. Any other future agenda items?
Carl, I'll just add to the following day, August 6th. We just sent out a letter today. If anyone's available to come on the tour of Uxbridge High, it's like a lunchtime visit, August 6th, 1 p.m. If you can make it, that'll be great. If you can't, we'll take a ton of pictures, try to take some videos too, the tours of the superintendent and the principal. They're going to walk us through all their like new innovative spaces, particularly the engineering lab, because we see that's probably the most relevant like kind of piece for us right now too. So anyone who can make it, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, I said, let me know.
August 6th at 1
I
p.m.
can't. Yeah,
You can't. And if you can't make it, we can think about someone bringing like a video camera and trying to get some like footage to put together.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm really bummed I can't make it. I'm gonna be out of town.
That might be something good for us to have on the website
To
too.
the website too. So all right, we'll think creatively around how we can do that too. Get some videos. Sorry, you're
No,
working around their availability.
Oh,
too,
no,
but
100%.
sorry.
No, yeah, as soon as I saw the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I never planned stuff that far out either, so.
Any other future agenda items?
Not an agenda.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jenny.
yeah, Carla, just, we will also, give an update on ability
Did she say sustainability?
more formally.
I didn't hear. You said,
Sustainability?
Sustainability and, mechanical systems.
okay. Great. Okay. Now we've gone to, we're gonna reorg. And so we'll reorg for the chair position and the vice chair position. And we will turn it over to Jane.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Jane.
Power move.
So we ready to move the gavel? Wow. All right, so at this time, I will take nominations for the chair of the Killam School Building Committee.
I nominate Carla Nazaro for chair.
Your one nomination, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ed. Motion made by Nancy, seconded. Are there any other nominations for chair? Online? Hearing none. We'll conduct a vote, a roll call vote for the chair of the Killam School Building Committee. The only nomination is Carla Nazaro. I'll do a roll call vote. Chris Haley,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
who's on the line?
Kirk and Sean.
Kirk,
Yes.
Sean Brandt.
Yes.
It's unanimous vote for Carla Nazaro for chair.
Does Carla get to vote?
Carla, you can vote too, I suppose. Yes. I was gonna ask you last, and I forgot at the end.
Thank you, everyone.
She says no, she doesn't want to.
Too late, too late. She's in.
Thank you, Sean,
Never
that's,
vote for
yeah.
yourself.
It could have been a win both ways.
Exactly.
So,
I didn't ask you if you would accept the nomination.
what a fool I am. Okay, so now I will accept nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Pat.
For vice chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? No. Seeing none. We won't ask Pat if he accepts.
He doesn't have a choice, don't ask
I'm
him.
happy to serve as vice chair with you,
Good.
Carol,
Thank you.
if I get the votes required.
I don't know.
John,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean.
I'd like to hear his stump speech first.
And Carla, yes. Great. Vote passes. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's it, right?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
will you be appointing a new member to the communications board?
Yeah, well, you know what, we should ask that, if people have any desires to be on different groups or anything like that? Or are you happy where you're at?
I'm
Or
happy where I am, sustainability is great.
I'd like to be added to the sustainability group, which I'm not on, if that's okay. Or if it's already got too many people, I don't have the cooking.
Oh, I know, that's right, we have to make sure it
yeah,
doesn't
but
have
it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, that's fine then.
No, that's fine. We can't have 5.
that's right, 4.
So
Yes,
four.
you
So
are,
you're
that's
four.
right, because Karen's no longer on it, yeah,
Okay.
that would be great, yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
And so we have just for Sean and Chris, we have a communications group that meets every other Thursday. We're no longer doing the education planning group. But if either of you would like to jump on that committee, you're welcome to as well.
And communication is just you and I so far.
Plenty of space, right?
I do talk a lot in the meeting, so I don't know, there's not a lot of oxygen left.
So if you are, feel free to
Oh,
say
yeah,
something.
that'd be
If
great.
not, you can let us know later too.
Carla, can I follow, I'll follow up with you offline, if that's okay.
Sure. Okay, perfect.
This is just a chair appointment, right? We don't have to vote or anything like
Exactly,
that anyway?
yeah,
Okay,
as long as
I'll
we
follow
don't
up with you
have,
offline.
perfect, as long as we don't have a quorum, we're good.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Discussion, John,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Carla. Thanks, everyone, we're adjourned.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.